So one of Africa's biggest lenders to governments on the continent says African investment firms are sending the wrong message to the world by choosing to invest anywhere but Africa. Sumaila Zubeiru, President and CEO of the Africa Finance Corporation, says when pension fund managers and other investors focus on putting their money anywhere else but the African continent, it sends the message that Africa is a risky investment destination. Zubeiru told Newzroom Africa's business editor Xolani Mbanjwa at the Finance and Common Summit on the sidelines of the G20. The biggest and best investment opportunities in the world are currently to be found in Africa.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time. There are a lot of opportunities that have been spoken about on the African continent, but issues of high debt and the servicing costs have always been there. Let's talk about how these two come together, the opportunities that exist and how the high debt and those servicing costs are actually impeding the development that we want to see on the continent.
Thank you very much. I'd like to start on the opportunities like you mentioned. You know, I always say that Africa is a compelling investment opportunity for itself and for the rest of the world. I say that because, you know, Africa's population is projected to double, you know, by 2050. Africa is going to be the workforce of the world. Over 65% of Africans are under 20 years old. So we have this demographic opportunity and we have this massive urbanization opportunity as well. You know, that is going to be, I would say, a frame, you know, for investments, especially for infrastructure. We also have the Continental Free Trade Area that is emerging. It's going to be one of the largest free trade areas in the world, another important opportunity for investment. And we also have the energy transition, you know, which, you know, it's upon us, you know, and that's going to require maybe a change to electrification more globally. And all of the tools and materials for that are in Africa. So a way to manage the debt, you know, is to have more asset-backed financing, you know, that are specific and tied to the cash flows of the project. To your question around cost of capital, you know, and risk premium, it is true that our risk is high, you know, especially perceived higher than what it is, especially because we have studies that have indicated, you know, that we're not as risky. You know, Africa actually has one of the lowest default rates. And we, you know, have experience, you know, we lend to countries, you know, so even when a country is considered to be having challenges, we have projects in the country that do well. So I'll give an example. You know, Zambia had challenges, but we had projects in the country that paid all its debt. You know, so it's still negotiating terms, you know, but our exposure to those firms have paid us back. So there has to be a distinction between, you know, the country level debt, you know, and the debt of companies that are operating. So I think we need to distinguish, you know, and not just have one, you know, lump everything in one basket, you know. So I think these are facts, you know. So that's our experience, you know. And we think that going forward, you know, we need to be more intentional about our development and how we finance it. You know, I was saying earlier today that, you know, the risk that we face, you know, we actually contribute to that risk ourselves. So
as Africans,
yes,
you say?
When we have our pension funds, you know, and our central banks, you know, depositing most of their monies outside the country, outside the continent, we're saying that we're risky. You know, we should invest our money in our continent. We should invest our money in our countries. You know, we would create jobs in our countries. We would build wealth in our countries. And, I mean, we'll reduce the risk. So the more we create wealth locally, the stronger financial institutions we will build, the better capacity they have to fund projects locally. And we will not need for people to be telling us that we're risky, you know, because we will have the funds domestically to fund our projects, you know. And that for me is the way to address this problem. It's to look at why are they saying that we're risky? Because we're asking them for money. But we have our money with them. We should use our money locally. We will not ask them. And they don't tell us that we're risky.
The Africa Finance Corporation is announcing today a very important investment fund that is also backed by the European Investment Bank at $750 million US.
So we have set up a fund, the Infrastructure Climate Resilience Fund, that's $750 million. We have signed this morning with the European Investment Bank a $52.48 million investment. And we're very happy for that because it demonstrates that there is interest in building climate resilient infrastructure on the continent. It shows that there is interest to work with us to scale what we're doing. We have the Green Climate Fund as investors providing the first loss. We're investing ourselves. We have the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority making an investment. We have pension funds from Nigeria making investments in the fund. We're talking to pension funds here in South Africa, and we're talking to European and development partners, and we're talking to partners across the globe, to invest. And we're happy with the outcome.